I have two kids, a toddler and a preschool girl, and my sister has a son who's a toddler. She's a mommy blogger and embraces the white beige aesthetic. This preference is reflected in every room of her apartment, including seasonal decorations, and she's pretty intense about it. I never said anything to her about it as it brings her joy. Some months ago, I stumbled upon a TikTok channel where a woman adopts a fake German accent to review fashion for what she calls sad beige babies. It's really funny. It's become an inside joke at our home. My nephew was seated on my lap with my parents and husband during our recent visit to her apartment. We were playing. I was wobbling him on my lap and pretended to eat his little arms. I unintentionally slipped into the sad beige baby persona as I was talking gibberish. I didn't anticipate it becoming an issue. However, when I mentioned sad beige baby, my sister became furious. She expressed frustration, stating she's tired of people critiquing her decorating preferences. When my brother tried to explain that it was meant as a joke and that she was too uptight about her aesthetic, she angrily spilled her red wine on the white tablecloth near me, exclaiming, "Are you happy now?" She then asked us to leave and has since inundated me with direct messages on Instagram, sending me numerous mommy accounts sharing the same aesthetic. My mother believes I should apologize for my unintentionally rude comment. I'm utterly taken aback because, in truth, it wasn't even directed at my sister. My nephew happened to be wearing a beige sweater and made an exaggerated sad face which prompted laughter, thus me calling him a sad beige baby. Am I the idiot here? Everyone's the idiot here. You for your comment that got out and her for overreacting. Also, this made me laugh. She's sending me numerous mommy accounts sharing the same aesthetic. I'm not sure what she thought would persuade you about her good taste by sending lots of equally beige mommies for you to look at. LOL. That's the whole joke. Lots of beige moms are paying tons of money for a burlap potato sack or a stuffed animal that looks like someone's first knitting mistake. Listen, if you're confident enough to make it your whole aesthetic, you have to be confident enough not to care when people think it's ugly. There will always be haters, so you must be secure in your decisions. I think that's why she lashed out in all honesty, especially with the, "Look, other moms are doing it too." It just screams that she was already insecure about it. I disagree. OP, you are the idiot. You've intentionally engaged in a social media trend repeatedly that mocks your sister's lifestyle and turns it into an inside joke to mock sad beige babies. The joke is so prevalent in your life that you couldn't avoid mocking her in her own home. Yeah, the beige aesthetic isn't my favourite, although I currently have no aesthetic with my toddlers, but I'm not tearing down moms who do. You should apologise and maybe look at why you find it so humorous to mock other moms. You seem to overlook that this grown woman got upset enough to dump red wine all over the tablecloth and yell at OP over a meme. It mocks incredibly ugly decorations and crappy moms who care more about aesthetics than about letting their kids enjoy themselves. No kids want the sad beige bedrooms and sad beige birthday parties. OP shouldn't apologise just because her sister sucks. Some people think parents, especially mothers, should never be criticised and should always be supported even in their worst choices for their kids because the grown woman's feelings are more important to them than what's best for the kids. Exactly. That's why I'm firmly on the team, not the idiot. Like, girl, you threw wine on your tablecloth because your sister made a joke? Someone else has been giving a heck about this and OP snapped. Babies and toddlers need contrast for visual development, especially in the first 12 months. This aesthetic BS, no colourful toys, has probably done most of its damage already, so I have no issue with you calling it out. I'm sorry she's so sensitive. She must know deep down that it's weird to drain all colour from a child's life. My 28 female brother Alex, 33, his wife Rachel, 35, and their daughter, Infant, are staying with me because they're back in our hometown for the month and our parents' house is being renovated, so they have nowhere else to stay. I'm a nurse and work strange shifts sometimes. A few nights ago, I got home at around 2 a.m. after my shift. Usually I work either day or night shift, so getting home at 2 a.m. was unusual, but it happens sometimes. Anyway, I walked into the house as quietly as I could, but the stairs creaked, so Rachel heard me come up. The next morning, she asked if coming home at 2 a.m. would be a regular occurrence because I woke her up. She asked if I could avoid coming home at such hours or walking up the stairs because she'd wake up. I said I'd avoid it as best I could, but some things will be unavoidable and I apologise in advance. She keeps complaining whenever my brother or I walk up or down the stairs when she's trying to take a nap or at night when she's asleep. She's been complaining about literally everything. She'll say stuff like, "Ugh, this Wi-Fi is crap. Ugh, this area is too noisy, I can't sleep. Ugh, this couch is bad for my back. Ugh, the fruits here are terrible. Ugh, these forks are too thin." If she were complaining about things I could change easily, I wouldn't mind because I want them to enjoy their stay here. But hearing her complain about everything under the sun is draining. I hate coming home from work just to hear her complain and complain and complain. Yesterday, after she complained about how much she hates my induction stove and told me I should just get a regular gas stove, I said I keep my house just as I like it, so she shouldn't worry about it. She said, "Yeah, it's how I like it, but it makes it difficult for guests." I said I barely ever have guests, and the only reason they're staying with me is because I wanted to do them a favour, but that they're absolutely welcome to get a hotel if she'll just complain about everything. She told my brother about our conversation, and he said I'd put him in a tough spot because he can't afford to get them a hotel or Airbnb for weeks, but now I've made his wife not want to stay with me anymore. I said that's all on his wife and none of that is my problem. Things are very hostile and weird around here now. Am I the idiot? Girl, I don't even know why you need to apologise for walking up the stairs in your house. Your sister-in-law is a tad too entitled and she needs a reality check. Stop tiptoeing around her, literally and figuratively. You are not the idiot, but you need to sit both of them down and tell them that you want them to stay, but your complaint tolerance level has been reached. They are free to stay, but one more complaint and the decision to stay is yours, not theirs. How dare OP enter their own house and want to go to their own bed when they get home from work? The one she's working to pay for the roof over sister-in-law and brother's head. Absolute monster. From the sound of it, OP would have to stay out all day and night due to sister-in-law taking naps. Oh, come on now. Can't you be just a little more accommodating? Just fix the Wi-Fi, make a sign that explains to anyone in the area that you have important company, and therefore they all need to be quiet. Replace your silverware and get a gas stove. And for goodness sake, learn to levitate so you don't bother anyone in your home. I mean, isn't the reason that you have a home so that you can host other people? Also, after you've replaced everything, you should go stay at a hotel so they feel more comfortable. Don't be ridiculous, she'll obviously have to get the stairs rebuilt, quickly and quietly, and maybe have a separate higher quality apartment built for them to stay in next time. OP, it's time to stomp up the stairs a few times so she realises how quiet you've been, or run the vacuum. I'm sorry you have to put your brother in a tough spot. He has to tell his wife they literally can't afford to be rude to people who host them. She needs to apologise to you. Seriously, if you were letting me stay at your house after working a bonkers shift, I'd make sure I laid out a snack and crap for you. This lady is rude as heck. To make a long story short, my 44 female father, 73, passed away earlier this year. He only had 2 daughters, my sister and me. My sister has 3 daughters and I only had 1 son, teen, until my youngest son, grammar school age, was born. My father's will specified that he wanted his male grandson to have his gold pocket watch, a vintage Patek Philippe worth a fortune. However, he made this will years ago before I had my second son, so of course he had 2 grandsons when he died. I got the watch on my eldest son's behalf, and as I handed it to him, I proposed we find a solution to include my youngest as well. Maybe the watch can belong to both of them. Perhaps we could sell it and split the money into their college funds. My son said that I shouldn't propose anything because the watch belongs to him and I'm putting him in a tough spot. I said he should consider that he's not the only grandson anymore. My husband, the father of my youngest, not my oldest, said I was an idiot to make this proposition and should just drop it. I disagree because I left the decision up to my son and didn't force anything. What a load of crap. You are the idiot. Your father made his wishes very clear and you know he wanted his firstborn grandson to have the watch. Even your son's stepdad says you're an idiot, and yet you're guilt-tripping your oldest son into sharing or selling what is rightfully his. You can pretend that's not forcing him to do anything. Still, you'd be delusional because that's a lot of pressure on your son to do the right thing by your definition versus honour his grandfather's wishes by everyone else's definition. I strongly encourage you to honour your father's wishes and apologise to your son for putting him in such an uncomfortable position. The watch is 100% his, and he should cherish that memory rather than cheapen it by asking him to sell it. The idea that you would take this inheritance and sell it to give a young kid cash against the will of the grandfather, your older son, and your own father strikes me as terrible parenting. It's also clear that the only thing that matters to you here is the financial value of the watch. What is it with all these people trying to steal their child's inheritance to make it fair to someone not in the will? The only fair thing to do is honour the bequest of the will. Another parent will gladly sacrifice the child of their prior marriage to kiss the butt of the new golden child. How do you tell your older son that he's been replaced with a shiny new upgrade? What else have you stolen from your old, used and expired child? It's bonkers that your husband gets it and you don't. That's not your inheritance. You don't get to say anything about it. My husband, 38, and I, 38 female, have 3 kids. Our daughter, Christiana, young teen, Liam, preteen male, and Sarah, toddler female. Christiana has a boyfriend, Colden, a young teen. Colden is a good kid. He plays baseball, is an A student, and is a sweet boy. I also know that he and his friends call each other out when they do something terrible. He's told me stories about how he and his friends called out one of their friends for saying something phobic. They do this by roasting each other sometimes, but it encourages good behaviour. Colden sometimes goes to my husband and me for advice. A few months ago, he came to us after his friends roasted him for a racially insensitive comment he made. You could tell he was remorseful. Last night, Colden and Christiana were in her room together. My husband and I were on the porch watching Liam and Sarah play in the yard. Suddenly, we are interrupted by Colden storming out the house and he's walking angrily. We tried to stop him since he didn't have a coat and was wearing shorts. We told him to come inside and ask what was wrong. He kept walking for a bit before returning and walking into our house, shivering. He told us that there was this boy in their grade who Colden found out that Christiana was bullying. He said the boy was a feminine straight guy. He has short hair and doesn't dress feminine, but he's a Swiftie, is openly emotional, and he listed a few other things about him. He said our daughter was calling this boy gay and telling his girlfriend that he's probably cheating on her with a boy. He said he didn't know the boy well, but it bugged him that she was doing this. He said he didn't want to report our daughter though, as he didn't want to ruin his relationship with her. We suggested that he consider reporting it, but he said he didn't feel comfortable doing so. Later, we talked to our daughter. She was unapologetic. She said she was just stating how she felt and that we couldn't punish her. We told her she was grounded and took her devices away. After cooling down a bit, my husband and I discussed our plans and we decided to email the principals and admin at her school. The school is currently investigating this further, but has already found evidence that she and her entire friend group were bullying this boy after just a day of looking, and she's facing serious consequences. Our daughter said we were being snitches and said that we were ruining her social life. Am I the idiot? We are ruining her social life. Oh, the poor thing. It's funny how she says you're ruining her social life when if she keeps treating people like that, she's going to ruin it herself. Not the idiot, OP. Your daughter is learning a valuable lesson. Actions have consequences, and by the sound of it, she needs a consequence to fully understand how her actions and words are detrimental to the recipient. Tell your daughter you're happy to ruin her social life if it keeps her and her friends from ruining this boy's actual life. This is called parenting. You are ensuring that your daughter and her friend group face consequences for harming another human being. Colden sounds like a good kid. I'm glad he could talk to you about it and didn't cover for your daughter's disgusting behaviour. Going against the group with, "You are the idiot." Yes, your daughter needs to learn a lesson, but reporting her to the school is essentially turning over that responsibility to them. This was an issue you could have and should have handled. The fact that you asked Colden to report it demonstrates that you were looking to absolve yourself from dealing with the problem. I also think it will be unlikely your daughter will trust you with anything. I, 24 female, and my now husband, 26, wanted to have a very small wedding that only consisted of our immediate family and best friends. Our small wedding of 8 guests, excluding our parents, happened in my apartment living room to save for a house in Europe. I kept my wedding a secret because I didn't want the stress of handling other people's reactions, since the usual wedding in my circle is extravagant and on the roof of a skyscraper or high-end resort hotel. I went to the same school from elementary to high school, and the moms of our batch made a friend group and still socialise to this day. I didn't really keep it hidden from my mom that I was bullied by a great chunk of the batch for most of my years there. So my mom understands how I would prefer to keep the wedding very small instead of being selective and hurting someone's ego. In school, the people who openly bullied me stopped when one of them stood up for me in middle school. We became best friends since, and she attended my wedding. 2 girls who transferred in after and didn't bully me also became my best friends and were invited to my wedding. I consider all 3 of them my maids of honor, MOH. We finally posted the wedding and lunch party to social media, and my mom's group chat was filled with surprise. I was the first in my batch to get married, and sadly there were fewer congratulations and more angry people expressing betrayal because they weren't informed of, from as far as, my engagement. They expressed that it was congruent to their best friend getting married without getting invited or informed at all. I felt confused by this because these people were not my best friends, nor were I best friends with their children in school. Nevertheless, I told my mom to use me as an excuse to dampen the fire, as I, the bride, wished for this secrecy and not my mom. They instead insisted that it shouldn't have mattered because a mother's decision trumps a daughter's. After my mom's attempt to reassure them, they turned to painting me as the opportunist narcissist who only cares for herself, since I didn't inform them of my wedding, and for using my maids of honor for an extravagant wedding, which was far from the truth. A select group of parents, in my mom's friend group, started pitting fights between my maids of honor and me by personally messaging the maids of honor. When that didn't work, they pitted my maids of honor's moms on each other, which unfortunately somehow worked. My mom, being overwhelmed by all this, blocked the people fanning the flames. They took this as evidence to show how the apple doesn't fall far from the tree and how easy it is for my mom to throw more than a decade of friendship down the drain. Since I moved to Europe with my husband, my mom has been isolated. My father's busy with work and my brother is studying abroad. I feel awful when I video call her, and she seems depressed seeing her closest friends now scared to even reply to her chat. OMG, not the idiot. Let's see, the moms are bullying your mom and their children bullied you. Yeah, the apples don't fall far from the trees. Sorry to break it to you, but your mom never had friends to begin with. Good for you for having the wedding you wanted, and I hope your mom can make some real friends. Holy crap, all those women are just trying to act like high schoolers. Basically, your mom has been friends with a bunch of bullies, and they use your wedding as an excuse to turn her into their new target. I cringed when reading, "A mother's decision trumps a daughter's." They're poor children. I would never betray my daughter's decision to keep something secret because my friends want to know this. Unfortunately, your mom chose a very cliquey, toxic group to be friends with. I doubt this is the first time these women have behaved this way. The danger is that you either walk on eggshells with the leaders, or eventually they will find a reason to turn on you. I'm sure your mother is hurting. Just like it hurts in middle school, it hurts as an adult when your friend group turns on you. Try to encourage your mom to get involved in different groups. Think of any hobbies or things she's always wanted to try. Good luck.